This Pez dispenser is smarter than you, Nathan. That's all I've got for you. I'm a Pez dispenser, and I'm smarter than Nathan. Nathan, you're so dumb. Chuck Hayes is so good defensively. My name's Nathan. I'm a Rockets fan. Idiot.
It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend, Friday, Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend, partying, 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 fun, 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 fun.
Welcome to today's Gift Buckets podcast, sponsored by New Era. Because we are a new era. Pick up your hat at a local Lids store. Kyle, what are we going to do today?
Well, there was actually a little bit of confusion on what we were going to do today. We're going to pick our 5 best players at each position. And what we mean by best players is we're going to pick the guys that we would want on our team for next year. I kind of looked at it a little earlier as the next 4 to 5 years, just kind of the future in general. But we settled on a middle ground between the next 5 years and one game tomorrow. And who do you want on your team next season? We're going to break it down by position, and I'll tell you why I am right every single time and why Nathan is wrong.
Okay, so let's kick it off. I'll start with my point guards. I have, in order, Chris Paul, number 1. Derrick Rose, Darren Williams, Russell Westbrook, and Rajon Rondo.
And with the first pick of the 2011, who do you want on your team next year draft? From Wake Forest University, I have Chris Paul, followed by Derrick Rose, followed by Darren Williams, followed by, coming in at number 4, Russell Westbrook, and coming in hot at number 5, Rajon Rondo.
You realize you just said the same list as me. You just said it fancier. Yeah.
Some people just sound better than others, you know?
Okay. Well, we probably have a lot of defending to do as far as Chris Paul goes ahead of Derrick Rose. But I think it's because people have really fallen in love with Derrick Rose over the last 2 months or so. And I think it's to a degree where they're not looking at everything. They just see spectacular plays, and they also saw the Bulls team go further in the playoffs, and so they're remembering all the things that Derrick Rose is doing when they should be remembering he throws up, in my opinion, way too many shots. He forces a lot of stuff, and he, especially in that playoff series, he started getting away from what made him so great in the regular season. And the only reason I really need to put Chris Paul number 1 on my list is his low turnover rate is far lower than Derrick Rose. And so I'd rather have my team holding on to the basketball rather than forcing something.
I've got a few just different things to say on the subject of Chris Paul. One, he's one of my favorite players, so that made it a lot easier to put him at number 1. Second, he shoots about 54% from the field, which for a guard, especially a point guard, is not just important, but it's really incredible. Dwight Howard shot the highest percentage in the league, and then I believe there was another center after him on that list. And then Chris Paul came in at number 3, and that's just really high for a guard to be at. He's the best pure point guard in the league. He runs an offense with really a bunch of nobodies in New Orleans. I mean, most people would struggle to name 5 people on their team besides Chris Paul. A couple years ago, Rajon Rondo kind of started talking trash about Chris Paul, about how Rondo was better, yada, yada, yada. Chris Paul would probably have 13 or 14 assists per game passing to the guys that Rajon Rondo's passing the basketball to. I'm super excited to see Chris Paul get out of New Orleans, where we can see what he can do with a better team around him. And I'm excited for the year to come because he's going to be another year removed from knee injury. which means he'll be a little more explosive, he'll be a little more aggressive, he'll be a little more fearless, and he'll be a little more fun to watch.
I agree with everything you said. And we're not taking away from Derrick Rose. He's super young. What is he, 20 years old?
21 maybe?
21 maybe? I mean, he's super young.
He's young.
He has so much potential. I think he's still just learning. And Chris Paul's been in the league a while, and so I would take Chris Paul on my team tomorrow. One of the more yeah.
I'm gonna go with one more quick argument for Chris Paul. I would argue that Chicago Bulls team would have been more successful in the playoffs had Chris Paul been running the point guard position, just because he makes everyone around him so much better, and he runs an offense better than anyone in the NBA. And I mean, I would argue that the Bulls would have found more success in running that offense than Derrick Rose coming down and kind of dribbling out the shot clock and getting a iffy shot towards the end of the clock.
One other thing made me think when you were just talking there is while he runs a great offense and he's one of the best players to play with, he's also really good in the ISO situations when his team needs it, like that bucket, and every NBA offense does it. They go to an ISO set. He's really good at taking his guy off the dribble and getting what his team needs. And I think it's really underrated. I was reading a while ago, it was a stat that said Chris Paul is actually the most clutch player in the league as far as clutch baskets made. In the shooting percentage that he shoots in those late game situations is far better than Kobe Bryant, better than Dwayne Wade, better than all these closers. And so you really want the ball in Chris Paul's hands, and he's not only going to score, but he's just going to make the right decision for his team.
And the other thing is, he's not a high flyer. He's not as sexy as a Derrick Rose. He might not be as sexy as even John Wall or Russell Westbrook. But he runs the fast break as good, if not better, than any of those guys. Sure, you don't see him get up and throw it down on someone's face too often, but he is beautiful to watch in the open court. 3 or 4 years ago, he dribbled between Jason Terry's legs on a fast break. He's moving full speed and dribbles the ball between Jason Terry's legs. He makes all the right decisions with the ball. He's a point guard. He's what every point guard wants to be.
Yeah. Deron Williams, I feel, is underrated, but with the group that we have, it's hard to be the best. I mean, Deron Williams is really good, and you would take him on your team in a heartbeat. He's not number one, but that doesn't discount anything that he is. Why did you put Rajon Rondo so low?
I put him low for a couple different reasons. We haven't really been able to see what Rondo can do without a lot of really excellent players alongside him. He's got 3 guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame on his team, and Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. And he plays on a very experienced team where he doesn't have to do anything but run the offense. He's never going to be the guy you go to ISO. I also put him down there because he has an awful shot. Mm-hmm. When he shoots a jump shot, you just assume that it's going to miss. And I have a ton of respect for Rajon Rondo, and I think he's a really good basketball player, and I think he's a really, really good passer. But until that jump shot improves, he's not going to be able to move up this list.
That's exactly why I put him at 5, because he can't score consistently. You have to be able to have some sort of jump shot. It doesn't even have to be a three-pointer, because the only person I think that really shoots the 3 well on this list is Deron Williams and maybe to an extent Chris Paul. But his mid-range game it's better than it was. It's better than it was a few years ago, but people still go with the Rondo defense of just let him shoot. You'll do anything to make him shoot the ball. You just don't want him passing it to open people and going around you. So if he could shoot better, he'd probably be top 3 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, the point guards in general are really like the deepest position we have probably, because, I mean, we left guys like John Wall off this list. I mean, there's some, Steve Nash didn't make our cut. There's some really good guards that just missed the cut. So either this point guard position or down at power forward. Those are probably our two deepest positions in the league in terms of star power for the first 6 or 7 spots.
And it's only going to get deeper in a few weeks when Jimmer gets drafted. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if I'm blanking on his name, kid from Spain, Ricky Rubio decides to come over here, which it's now questionable if he will or if he won't. He could add to that list, but there's still a lot of questions about his game that we really don't have answers to as well.
Okay, let's go to small forward or shooting guards. Go with your top 5 shooting guards.
And now, the University of Marquette, coming in at number 1 on Kyle's shooting guards, Dwayne Wade. I've got Dwayne Wade first. I'll go with Kobe second. Let's go ahead and go with Monta Ellis coming in at 3. Kevin Martin at 4. And believe it or not, I'm going to be a complete homer, and I will do my best to defend this and go with James Harden at 5.
Oh my gosh. James Harden.
What's your list?
You know James Harden only plays 26 minutes a game, right?
What's your list?
Okay. Doesn't have James Harden. Spoiler alert. Dwayne Wade is number 1. Kobe Bryant, number 2. Kevin Martin, number 3. Monte Ellis, number 4. And Andre Iguodala, 5. No James Harden. James Harden may be 7 or 8. Now, someone who, I guess I'll refer to them as casual NBA fan, may be wondering why we left Joe Johnson off our top 5, who is highly regarded for reasons I really don't know.
Joe Johnson did an excellent job in his contract year of being just good enough that the Hawks had to re-sign him, and being just good enough that the Hawks had to do that at maximum money. But now that he got that, a 7-year deal worth more money than anyone else made this past offseason, he can basically coast the rest of his career. He can sit at home all summer and not get any better, and it really doesn't make a difference. And truth be told, it kind of seems like that's what he did this past summer after he got his contract, because he came back worse this year, it seemed. I'm not even sure Joe Johnson would be number 6 or number 7 for me.
Yeah, and that's, it's not sad, but it feels like he's fallen off. He was highly regarded, and like you just said, the Hawks had to re-sign him. But look at his stats from this year. Under 20 points a game, 18 points a game, under 5 assists, under 5 rebounds. I mean, he doesn't do anything really spectacularly. He's not top 10 in scoring.
He really doesn't do anything that nobody else on this list, like everyone else on this list, plus a bunch of guys that make a lot less money than him, can give you the exact same production that he gives you.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can talk about what you're talking about. He doesn't do anything spectacular. Like Dwayne Wade, superior athlete, great, just physical, aggressive, attacks the rim, scores over 25 a game. I mean, he does things that few players in the league are capable of doing. Kobe Bryant, one of the all-time greats. I mean, I really don't have to defend Kobe Bryant. He's Kobe Bryant. Kevin Martin, the most efficient player probably in the league, really gets to the free throw line. Monta Ellis just gets buckets over buckets over buckets and never stops. And Andre Iguodala is probably the most rounded, maybe of all of them. Really plays defense. Is stuck in Philadelphia, which is sad, but that's. I think those are all far better options than Joe Johnson.
Well, part of the thought process on Andre Iguodala, which was why it was really hard for me to put James Harden over him on this list, even though I did it, is this past year especially, he kind of got over the part where he needed to come down court and be a volume shooter and a volume scorer, and really focused a lot of that energy on playing better defensively, working harder on on the glass, and it really paid off. And he really was a much more well-rounded player this year than he had been thus far in his career.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at his stats, he shouldn't make my list, in theory. 14 points a game. He does give out 6 assists from the shooting guard and 6 rebounds, but it's far off his normal pace of over 20. But like you said, he figured it out. He rebounds, he passes, he runs the floor, defends really well. And so I would take him over Joe Johnson. And what do you think about Monta Ellis as a player?
He can score as well as anyone in the league, honestly. He's got, he can pull up and he can hit it in your face, or he can go to the lane and take it into the body of a big, hit a floater over a big. But outside of the scoring aspect, I think he's become a little bit better of a passer, and it really helps that the Warriors are doing what they can to get better. But he's got to work harder on the defensive end of the court. He's kind of seems small. I don't know how tall he is, but he seems like he can get bodied up by a few people, and that might just be my perception of him because he always finds himself in the lane. But he needs to work harder and become a better defender if he really wants to become an elite shooting guard.
All right, the time is now where you must defend putting James Harden in your top 5 when he averages 26 minutes a game for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay, first off, I would like to note that we decided that we were going to do this podcast about who we would want on our team this coming year. So I don't know necessarily what past stats truly have to do with that. You need to put those stats in context for them to actually mean something towards what we're saying here. And James Harden was the 6th man for the Thunder this year, and he was mainly there for rotation purposes. But you saw him as a guy that the Thunder had to have in the game if they wanted their offense to work well in the fourth quarter. So I see James Harden as a guy that really made the Thunder's offense tick, and I feel like he could do that for just about any team in the league. For a 2-guard, he gets to the basket and he passes from his drive very well. He can light you up from outside. He gets to the line well. He just does a lot of things really well, and that is indicative of a guy that I'd want on my team.
For the record, I agree with you. I love James Harden. I wouldn't put him in my top 5 shooting guards, but he's definitely someone I want on my team, and he's the guy that every team has to have. And I can't say really enough about him. Like, when things were...
And he will be a starting shooting guard for the Thunder, most likely next year. He really essentially, he came off the bench for the same reason that Jason Terry did, for the same reason that Lamar Odom did, to give them a spark and to kind of carry the rotation when either a Kevin Durant or a Russell Westbrook wasn't in the game. He was their 3rd best player. And in the playoffs, I would argue he was their 2nd best player, and on some nights, very close to their best player. He's going to be a star. And I want him on my team next year.
He's not going to be a star, but he's very good. He doesn't have a skill set that translates to stardom. He's someone I love and someone that you absolutely have to have on your team. I would not be surprised if he's never an all-star.
You might be right. I might have jumped the gun by saying he was a star. I can admit I was wrong by yelling he was a star.
That's fine. But we can both agree, someone we love and someone who, for the vast majority of people, is underrated.
And I mean, we can also look kind of down the shooting guard line. And I mean, we named Dwayne Wade and we named Kobe Bryant. And from there, I'm not sure you'll ever consider Monta Ellis a star.
No.
I'm not sure you'll ever consider Kevin Martin or Andre Iguodala a star.
No.
So I did jump the gun by calling James Harden a star. But also shooting guard, you've got these kind of 2 elite guys, and then you've got some guys that can just score, and then James Harden does a little more than just score.
Moving on to small forwards, pretty straightforward position. I would say there's not a lot of depth, but the people at this position tend to be stars in the league. So You want to reel off your top five?
Yeah, I'm gonna shock the world. Not really, and I'll defend this, and I feel like I have a good case for it. Um, I would rather have Kevin Durant on my team than LeBron James, and I agree that LeBron James is a better basketball player, and I would never argue that he is better. But Kevin Durant is the guy that I would want on my team first. But Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Paul Pierce, and Gerald Wallace are my five guys in order.
Yeah, and I get what you did there. You went, instead of who's the best basketball player, you kind of went more along the lines of what we're doing. Who would you want on your team? And after seeing what we saw, I don't really blame you for taking Durant over LeBron, but I'm still going to go with LeBron James. Give me the greatest player on the planet, and I'll solve my other problems. KD is definitely a close second. Just, it's hard not to love Kevin Durant. He's really gone about everything the right way. Very humble, very just awesome dude. Carmelo Anthony really hasn't done it the right way. Forced himself out of Denver. Got what he wanted. He's now Nick. Good for him. It pains me to put Paul Pierce number 4 on this list, but I had to. Actually, I guess I have to. And then my fifth is Rudy Gay, who I feel like everyone forgot about because he got injured, but I put him at 5 because I really think he's a great player and better than Danny Granger or Luol Deng or anyone like that. I feel like he's better. And so that is my 5.
I'm going to go on and kind of defend Kevin Durant a little more. LeBron James is the most athletic being that we have ever seen play the game of basketball. He's got a freak body, and he has a good skill set when it comes to passing the ball, dribbling the ball, and attacking the basket. But he doesn't attack the basket as much as you'd like to see him do for the freak body that he does have. But none of those are really my problem with LeBron. One reason I wouldn't want LeBron on my team is because there is a media circus always surrounding LeBron James and the hype to be the next Michael Jordan. And that got put on him by the media, but he added to that by having, I believe he has like the Chosen One or something like that tattooed on him. He goes by King James. While LeBron was out having the decision, telling us where he was going to play last summer, Kevin Durant was tweeting that he had just signed a contract extension with the Thunder. Kevin Durant seems to be the ultimate team player in terms of attitude. And I'm not saying LeBron's not a good guy or anything like that, but there's just a lot of baggage that seems to come with LeBron right now. So I'm taking Kevin Durant, who has a great skill set and who has really, really good potential with the length that he has and with the size that he has. If he can just get a little stronger, get a back to the basket game, he really could turn into the best pure scorer in basketball.
I would argue he's there.
He is, but partially just because at times LeBron, I feel like if LeBron wanted to be a pure scorer, he might still be able to be a better pure scorer than Kevin Durant. LeBron just chooses not to do it. But I think that one day Kevin Durant's offensive skill set could overtake LeBron's in terms of scoring.
One thing a great scorer has to have is kind of like what you're saying. He has to have a jump shot, and that's something that LeBron's always struggled with. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something Kevin Durant is years ahead of LeBron already in that jump shot. He just, like you said, if he develops some sort of post up, even like a Dirk post, just something where you're not backing people down like hook shots, but something where you can get easy shots, get to the free throw line, because he's great at getting to the free throw line already. Give him more free throws, let him get into that comfort zone, and then it opens up, your other shooting opportunities.
I like Carmelo Anthony a lot at number 3 because he attacks the basket well, and he can get really, really hot from the outside. And when he's hot from the outside, much like every guy on this list, it's really impossible to stop them because they all attack the basket so well and so they're crafty when they attack the basket. And Melo can score the ball, but he's not much into the whole hustle thing or the whole defense thing. And that kind of, I mean, he doesn't have the best team attitude. As you can tell, he forced himself out of Denver. So there's a lot going on there with Melo.
That was well put. You have anything else to add about? Actually,
I'll talk about Paul Pierce, and I'll talk a little bit about my Gerald Wallace choice.
Yeah, talk about that.
Paul Pierce kind of almost reminds me of a really, really, really much less athletic version of LeBron James. Paul Pierce really passes well from the small forward position. He's got an old man game when it comes to scoring. He shoots a little fadeaway jump shot because he doesn't have a ton of elevation, and it works really, really well for him. He's a excellent shooter. He's got a sweet spot kind of near the right elbow that if you let him get the ball there, you're toast. And when he attacks the basket, he passes well when he attacks the basket, and he really finishes well for the fact that he doesn't have a lot of elevation at this point in his career. So Paul Pierce is your old man shooting, or your old man small forward, sorry.
Defend your Gerald Wallace pick.
Gerald Wallace he's really a guy he's 6'7", 220, very solid body by all means. He's not incredible offensively, but he averages, last season he averaged 8 rebounds per game, and that bumped up to over 9 rebounds in the playoffs. He's a guy that you like defensively because he's tough. He's a guy that can get you a basket when you really need a basket. He might not be your number 1 option, but he's a very good number 2 option on a team. And I like him a lot because of the rebounding and the physicality that he can bring to the game.
Okay, that's fine. Power forwards, which there can be discrepancy depending on who you talk to or what you consider a power forward or a center. For our purposes, we're going to go with, I guess, what the league defines them as and what they're listed officially as. And so my top 5 power forwards, Dirk Nowitzki, pretty easy choice after what he did. Second is Kevin Love. Third, Paul Gasol. Fourth, Blake Griffin. And my 5th is Amari Stoudemire. Who do you have in your top 5?
Well, my top 5 really isn't even in order. I've really been scrambling on the power forward position because of the depth that it actually has here. I'm going to go with Dirk at number 1. Let's go ahead and go with Gasol at 2. And then we're going to go with, for next year, we're going to take Amari Stoudemire at 3. We're going to take LaMarcus Aldridge at 4. And we're going to take Blake Griffin at 5.
You left my number 2 guy off. What's wrong?
Was your number 2 guy Kevin Love?
Yeah.
Hang on, let's take a quick little break.
Oh, okay.
If you want to say something cool and hope it gets on here, you can.
But
ain't nothing to it but to do it. I hope it gets on.
You'll have to listen to it to find out.
Maybe. We'll see.
Back to me leaving your number 2 guy off. Kevin Love is an incredible, incredible rebounder. He had a great year this past year. Set the record for most consecutive double-doubles with points and rebounds. It's just the power forward slot's just such a deep position in the NBA right now. Zach Randolph got left off too. And part of me thinks that Kevin Love had put up the numbers he put up because he was on a team that was the worst team in the NBA. And he plays for the Timberwolves. They don't win games. And I want a winner on my team. Which really doesn't make sense with the whole Blake Griffin thing either. But I want someone that's more of an offensive presence. And I want someone that plays for a team that you might actually go play and think, man, I don't want to see Blake Griffin tonight. He might dunk all over my face. No one goes in thinking, man, I really don't want to see Kevin Love tonight. He might grab that rebound.
So you think his scoring is due to the fact that he's on a bad team?
I think his scoring is due to a lot because he's a good rebounder and he can get himself in position getting some points that way. But, I mean, Kevin Love's very, very good. And I don't want people to think I'm like, oh, man, Kevin Love sucks because he plays for a bad team. He can stretch a defense. He can hit a three. And that's a skill that really no one outside of Dirk that we named off can really do. And it was less because Kevin Love isn't good enough and more because I think there are 5 guys at this slot that are better.
I see what you're saying. I would just rather have, 20 points, 15 rebounds a game. Not to mention the league's best, outlet passer. You want to run fast break? Get yourself Kevin Love. You're going to get some easy buckets. But he's my number 2 because he's an animal. And because he's going to get offensive boards at an alarming rate. He's going to clean up the glass, which is what you need. I really don't have anything else to say about power forwards except that was probably the toughest one to do. It's super deep. Like, I wanted really badly to put LaMarcus Aldridge on there. I think he's awesome. The Pez dispenser is really not on my list, but thanks for showing him to me. And I think Blake Griffin's going to be a star, and partially because he can just tear the rim off. But you see glimpses of greatness in his play. He has a ridiculous post-up turnaround bank shot from about 17 feet, and it's a shot he takes consistently. And if that continues to go, he's only 20, 21, maybe not even that. I mean, he's really good.
So he's older than that.
Really?
Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
He was in college, 3 years? And he sat out a year because he was hurt? I would guess he's about 23.
He's 22 years old.
When's his birthday? Come on.
March 16th.
Crap. We were both wrong. He's not 21, and he's not 23. That's why we keep each other around. Should meet in the middle.
There we go. All right, you want to reel off your centers list?
Yeah, I'd love to. Center was another tough position, but for the reasons...
The opposite reasons.
There's really no dominant centers in the NBA except Dwight Howard. So I have Dwight Howard at number 1. I'm going to go ahead and put Tim Duncan at number 2. I'll take a year of Tim Duncan. I've got Andrew Bynum at 3, Tyson Chandler at 4, and Al Jefferson at 5.
Did Tyson Chandler make your list because he won a title?
No.
Okay. He did not make my list. I had Dwight, most dominant center in the game. I had Andrew Bynum, who I feel has potential to be dominant if he's not hurt, so I will take him on my team. Tim Duncan, like you said, give me a year of Tim Duncan. I feel like I'd be okay. Al Horford, who I don't think made your list. I think he's really underrated. And then Al Jefferson is my 5th.
Dwight Howard at number 1. He's really he's the most dominant physical force in the game, and he's really the most incredible physical specimen besides maybe LeBron. Both of them are just cut out of their mind. They just look ripped, and Dwight Howard just happens to be a lot taller. Tim Duncan has done everything that you can want out of a guy in a career. He's slowing down a little bit. I should have actually pushed him to 3 or 4 on my list. He's not as good defensively as he used to be, but you know you're going to have that little sweet bank shot from Timmy every night. Pretty good passer out of the post. He's Tim Duncan. I felt like I would have been sinning if I left him off this list.
I'm just marveled at Dwight Howard's, I guess, stats. They're ridiculous. Shoots close to 60%, 59% from the field. I mean, everything is a dunk, but that's hard. It's hard to do.
He shoots that percentage with Jameer Nelson, J.J. Redick, Hudu Turkoglu, and Vince Carter surrounding him. Wait, Vince Carter's a son now. Wait, am I drunk?
Yeah, what the heck?
What just happened to me?
I have no idea. What? Just what? What? Yeah, take a break.
Here we go.
I'm gonna let you
I'm,
try that again. Yeah, go for it.
and the incredible thing is that he's shooting that 59% with no good guard play. He's got guys like Jameer Nelson and J.J. Redick out there, and Redick's not the shooter that he used to be in college. He's still a good shooter, but he almost took some time off of that whole shooting thing to work on his defensive game, and really hadn't found that stroke that he had at Duke. So he doesn't have a lot of outside help. It's kind of Dwight Howard and those other four guys.
All right, tell me why you put Tyson Chandler in your top 5 centers, please.
I would say that Tyson Chandler is the second best center defensively in the NBA.
Behind
And
Dwight Howard?
And you kind of roll your eyes, and I think if you look at the votes for Defensive Player of the Year, not Andrew Bynum, wow, welcome to me struggling. Tyson Chandler actually came in second, behind Dwight Howard. And he rebounds the ball well, and he doesn't score a ton. Most of his buckets are off of lobs or off of offensive rebounds and putbacks, but that's something that's valuable to have, especially at a position like center where there doesn't seem to be a ton of depth. So you tell me why you kept Tyson Chandler off of your top 5 centers.
Okay. Well, oh man. Let's see. Because he's not that good? I mean, he's good, but he's not even close to the second best defensive center. I guess I was going to say not even close to the second best defensive player in the league. Dwight, definitely the best defensive center. You know what? Let me pull up a list of centers so I can find out who is better defensively. Tyson Chandler is a good defensive player, but he's not. Let's not freak out here.
Oh, hey, look at that. Dwight Howard came in first. Kevin Garnett came in second defensively. That's my mistake.
That's okay.
And Tyson Chandler came in third, 7 votes behind Kevin Garnett for Defensive Player of the Year, presented by Kia Motors. So, I mean, yes, you might be able to try to convince me that he is not the second best defensive center, but the stats do show that he's the second best defensive center.
Stats don't show anything. Those are the same stats. Those are awards. Those aren't stats. That's a trophy presented by
They are
a media conglomerate.
Motors. But it's presented by Kia Motors, not a media conglomerate. But they are stats. They are the stats of how media voted. So, I mean, if you really want to get into it, it's an award, but that award was figured out by votes, and those votes can be considered stats. So, go ahead.
Better defensive centers. Dwight.
I'm waiting.
Dwight, obviously. Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously.
Okay, power forward.
Okay. Throw him out. I got more. Joakim Noah, obviously.
Is it obvious?
Yes. Kendrick Perkins.
Then why?
Easily.
If it's more obvious that those guys are better defensive centers, and not Kendrick Perkins because he's been half the year hurt, but why does this media conglomerate not see that? Why are you the only one that sees that?
I don't think I'm the only one that sees that.
Let me see. Joakim Noah was on this list somewhere. Oh, cool. Joakim Noah had a total of 11 points.
He's not
So
the
you're proving
second
my
best
point by saying
defensive
that.
center.
Okay, you keep arguing it.
I am. He's not the second best
No,
defensive
you
center.
keep arguing it.
He's
This
not.
Last year, he was the second best defensive center.
Okay, but when people talk, he's not known for his defensive abilities, is he? You know, when people go against Tyson Chandler, they don't say, man, that's going to be a tough score against Tyson Chandler. He's never regarded in that way.
Okay, can you name one guy? I mean,
Chuck Hayes. Everyone, that's all people talk about.
well, that's because it's all he can do.
I'm just saying he's better defensively against centers than Tyson Chandler is. Joakim Noah is not known for his scoring ability. He's known for his defense and more really for his idiotic energy.
It's mainly his idiotic energy that I really think gets him elevated to a new level. In the hair, you can't just flat out say he's not the second best defensive center.
Oh, I can definitely say it.
You can say it, but you aren't credible because I'm the one that's providing backup to the fact that he is, and all you're saying is, man, people think Chuck Hayes, I don't want to go against him. He's a good defensive center. But
all you're doing is looking at votes for people that don't know what they're talking about.
You're the one that's saying talking. Do you even know?
Dude, you can't use any kind of award voting system as credible to make unless he won the award.
I can definitely do that.
No, you can't.
I'm doing it, aren't I?
You're failing, but yeah.
I am far from failing.
He's not a great defensive player. He's a good defensive player. Okay? He's not the second best defensive center as you are claiming he is.
Until you prove otherwise.
How do you want me to prove it? And I could prove it. I don't have any.
If you can find video footage and get it to me on a later date, I will let everyone know on the next podcast that you are not a complete idiot.
Oh, God. What do you want me to find? Video evidence?
Yes, I want you to find video evidence.
Of what?
Of why he is not the second best defensive center.
Because I can name people that are better defensively.
Just because you can name people doesn't make you right.
Just because you're naming Tyson Chandler doesn't make you right.
Well, 20 other people also named Tyson Chandler as the second place defensive player of the year. So
great for them.
I mean, I've got a little more backing than you do.
Yeah, well. So you would say he's a better defensive center than Kendrick Perkins?
I would not say that. Kendrick Perkins did not play this past year. But he brings other things to the table better than Kendrick Perkins.
But I thought we were talking about defensively.
Well, we are, but I'm giving my reasoning for not... You're right, he's the third best, but that's if Kendrick Perkins' knee becomes healthy again and plays well again. This past year, Tyson Chandler was the second best defensive NBA center.
I considered... Okay.
And moving forward, if Kendrick Perkins slides back into that number 2 spot, I would still not take Kendrick Perkins just because I don't feel like he brings... I mean, you watched Kendrick Perkins post different people up throughout the playoffs, and there were Twitter comments, I don't remember who said this, but it could be a reality TV show, Kendrick Perkins posting up gnomes to see if he could score or not. There's literally no offensive ability oozing out of Kendrick Perkins.
No.
And there is a little bit oozing out of Tyson Chandler. So now I'm just backing why I would take Chandler over Perkins.
My argument was against the second best defensive center, and I'm still going with it.
I'll give you third with.
I would put him 4 or 5th, and I need to look at Chuck Hayes' numbers to see if that was backed up. How centers fare against Chuck Hayes, because I think he's better defensively than Tyson Chandler is.
Yeah,
But he's not. It's not like I was saying he's like 10th.
Hey, I respect your opinion.
Okay, good.
Even though it's wrong.
Okay, well, it's not like I was saying he's the 10th best center defensively, because he's definitely he's top 5. He's just not. I just didn't think he was number 2, because I could think of 3 off the top of my head that were better.
And I mean, we are in a battle of. I mean, I guess we're in an opinion battle.
Yeah, because it's really hard to prove.
It's really tough to prove what defensive player is better and what defensive player is worse. So we really are in a battle of opinions.
Yeah.
And
because I mean, if we look at like even just like a 1 possession thing, you can play amazing defense, but if someone hits a great shot because they're better offensively, it doesn't matter how much defense you played. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where neither of us are going to win this argument, besides the fact that we're arguing on it for no reason, really.
Yeah.
All right, that was a great way to end it. That was strong. Yeah, that'll do it for us until next week, maybe, or sometime. I don't know. We're going to have to figure out something to podcast about.
We need to do draft stuff.
That's what we'll do next week.
sometime.
We will do draft stuff next week. So we will do drafts preview stuff next week. Maybe look at what teams need, what they don't need. And Kyle, when is the U.S. men's national team playing again?
Yeah, the U.S. men's national team won against Guatemala 1-0 last night, which puts them in second place for Group C, and that puts them playing Jamaica on Sunday in the round of 8 now. And if they can win that game, they'll most likely get to see Panama again. While on the other side of the bracket, if Mexico wins their first game, they will either play Costa Rica or Honduras. So let's go get some W's, U.S. men's national team, and realize that you have the easier road to the final game.
All right. So until next week, get buckets in everything you do.
Yesterday was Thursday, today it's Friday. We so excited, we gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday, and Sunday comes afterwards. I don't want this weekend to end.
Harvey, Rebecca Black.
Come on, y'all.